Reusse Unchained, presented by Josh Arnold, investment consultant, Mr. Money Talk. What's funny? The Twins scored those 2 runs last night,
Yes.
and like your first instinct is wow, and Provis going nuts, and
Mm-hmm.
wow, what a Carlos Correa, man. And the 3 of us were on a text thread just raving about
Mm-hmm.
Correa. But then the realization sets in that they're going to try and close the game with Henriquez and Tonkin.
Well,
And then
they were going to
reality.
try to close it with Henriquez. They didn't.
Well,
They were hoping they didn't have to pitch Tonkin, but obviously before the game, he told Griffin Jacks and Cole Saturn's hands that they weren't pitching. So no matter what situation existed, I would have been tempted to call up and ask Jacks, "What do you think? What do you think? You got 10, 12 more pitches in you?" I'm sure he would have said yes. But they tied their bed with this guy. He's got decent stuff. He's been okay in non-pressure situations, but when he comes right out and I saw him, I was just a little off on his. He said I was throwing good. I was just a little off on my location. Well, that's pitching, dummy. Location, and you were a little off on your location when you walked a guy on 4 pitches. Okay, that's a little off on location, I'd say. But yeah, that was terrible. But then you watch the Tigers win with Scooble. They won 3 in a row in Kansas City. Did they play today? By the way, I didn't
I
watch
just
it.
looked. I think they're off.
that's
They're
where the
off
half
today.
game gets made
They're
up
off
today.
today.
Then, right?
So yeah, and who are we breaking out today? Which one of our phenoms? Richardson pitching.
Yeah,
Wood
Sim
Richardson.
starts today.
Ooh, that doesn't fill you with confidence the way that's been going. So, yeah, Cleveland, though, man alive, they're spunky. I'll say that. Big fat old Josh Naylor comes out and hits 2 bombs, and I think he's Herbie.
Great.
He's gained 15 pounds during the season, like Herbie used to. Somehow
Yeah.
Herbie used to gain 15 pounds.
That Major League Catering, man, it
Yeah.
doesn't rest.
No, he and his brother used to be identical. The catcher, they look like the same guy, but he's 20 pounds heavier than his brother, the catcher now. But I know Cleveland's had an amazing season. Less payroll than the Twins. It's phenomenal.
Pitching.
But Class A is what? Well, Class A is 46 saves, last 46 or 7 saves, and
God, yeah, he's just
number of
ridiculous.
wins like he did yesterday.
He has
They
a
don't.
.64 ERA. That's
If he had,
4 runs, I
insane.
think.
if he had pointed, if he had pitched 2 innings on, if he'd pitched 3 innings Tuesday and Wednesday, Monday and Tuesday like Jax did, he would have pitched last night, right?
Yeah, I mean, let's do that for a second. Let's
He would have
say
closed the game anyway.
and I'm sure obviously you pitch a guy 3 days in a row. It's less about the pitch count. It's just getting a guy out 3 days in a row. Would you rather have, and I'm making this number up, Griffin Jacks at 75% or either of those 2 guys at 90% last night? That's the decision that they made, right?
Yes, that's right. And, they made the decision before the game, and they didn't let the fact that here they were going to win a game, and we're giving Carlos this phenomenal credit, and he got a couple of hits. But let's remember, the hit that drove in the 2 runs, the second run was one of the great excuse me swings of all time where he chopped the ball over the right. So it wasn't like he was hitting line drives all over the place or anything. But, there it is. You're going to win this game. Holy cow, that's a nice win. And then, then to have this happen. And I don't know. They, sometimes I always say, you gotta go with what you've seen happen instead of what you think's going to happen all the time. And it's like Jackson's never going to be able to pitch again if he pitches there won't be a bigger spot for Jax this season in what's left of this season than last night in the 10th inning. There won't be a more important game to win than last night in the 10th inning. And I also don't know why. I would have done it the other way, by the way. I would have had Henriquez pitch tonight and Duran then have him to pitch the 10th. Because when you send out a guy to pitch the 9th, you're just trying to hold on to a tie, right? It's not as big a pressure as coming out there and going, Oh man, I I better get somebody out here, else I'm going to choke up this game. So I think there's more pressure. I would have, I think this idea of getting to extra innings is overamped compared to having an opportunity to win and not having a decent reliever to use. So
But
I
we're
don't know.
but still, we're talking about a bullpen where Henriquez is an option. Like that. That's the thing. Is like the Guards bring in Cade Smith, undrafted 2020, just throws gas, right? And he's before Class A. Like this is the problem. Is like we're debating about, okay, should this guy? You've got to have more arms, and they just don't.
Well, this kid's throwing good. He's just not going to handle the pressure. We found
Right, but
out.
I'm just saying you've got to have. This is why you go get a
We
veteran
just got Cole
reliever.
Irvin. We just got Cole Irvin.
Yeah,
Why
I
didn't
know.
he pitch the 10th?
I know.
Why didn't he
but
pitch the 10th? He pitched yesterday and got
like,
a
well,
guy
could
out.
Cole Sands have pitched?
Four
What if
pitches.
Cole Sands had pitched?
Could we have
Yeah.
flown Craig Kimbrell in time for that game
Craig
last night?
Kimbrell, yeah. He'll get picked up today. Somebody will have him picked up by noon today.
Damn right.
Hey, what why did Cole not pitch? When did he pitch an inning? Yesterday?
He had thrown 50 pitches between Sunday and Tuesday. So
Okay.
I don't think
They must have
maybe
said,
I still
okay.
would have taken the 70% of Cole Sands, but he had thrown 50. He threw like 34 on Sunday and 15 on
This
Tuesday.
isn't, fellas, all the guys in the bullpen, we hope this doesn't result in Tommy John surgery, but this is an emergency, okay?
Yes.
This is an emergency.
Exactly.
This is the season, for God's sakes. So it's, and you know how long it took to know this guy wasn't going to get her done? After the base hit, when he can't, at a 2-0 count, you should have ran out of the dugout and said, "That's it. You're choking like a dog. I can see that. We have to get you out of here before you walk the ballpark because you can't handle it." I don't know. I would have tried after seeing him go after the second hitter after he gives up the first hit. I would have went with who's the mop up guy now? The veteran who's been around. Blewett. I would have brought in Blewett instead of him.
But this is the problem. Look at the names you're talking about, Pat.
Yeah, I know.
At least the headline would have been funnier if he was the last pitcher to give it up last night. Pat, this reminds me of a buddy of mine that you probably covered 30 years ago, Jim Brower, former Gopher baseball pitcher.
Yeah, well, he got killed by Felipe Alou. He ruined his career. So anyway.
The 2004 Giants, were in a race. They were a 91 win team trying to make the playoffs, and the last week of the season. So it was right around this time, and he pitched 8 out of the last 9 days, not games, days. He pitched, and these are all like 8th inning, 9th inning, high leverage spots. 4 consecutive days, 1 day off, and then 4 consecutive days to finish out the season.
Yes, and I wish I would have told you. I would have tried to write a column. I wrote about him the following spring, and I saw him in spring training. He warmed up over 200 times that year for Felipe. I mean, because Felipe would use him in the 2nd or the 6th or the 9th. He wasn't he was a closer, and he basically killed him. I mean, Brower looked after that year. His arm was shot basically.
Like
after
Bill
that
Campbell.
season. Yeah, well, Soupy had one good year in Boston, but after Mock used him 162 innings, which was a little high for a screwballing relief closer. He was Soupy, and then Mock got another pelt on his belt the next year with Tommy Johnson, who made it to August, and then his arm fell off. He never got his 4 years in. He never got a Major League Baseball pension because of that, and he's now a preacher in Slovenia, and I don't think he's making much money. I don't know how he's doing, but Mock. But that's I don't know. Is Rocco? Are they going to fire him? You think there's any chance?
Man,
Think there's any chance? These guys don't take blame too well.
But not that Rocco is, blameless.
No,
But if you the reasons why they had to run out Michael Tonkin and Henriquez
yeah,
at the end of that game, it's not like Rocco
no,
said,
yeah,
"I'm
right,
going to keep these three." Well, I guess Jack's was a decision, but like you said, that decision was made at 2:00 in the afternoon, not by Rocco.
yeah.
So
Well, yeah, okay, but he certainly was in on the idea of not pitching him. I think,
he's
he's a
he's
big.
not
He's
pushing back.
always going to protect the guy. But
It'd be a
I don't know.
scapegoat firing, right? It wouldn't.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. It would not be a. I don't think he's in trouble, but I don't trust these guys. So I
If they
don't.
complete the choke, Pat, what do they do though? Like I don't think that you can just do nothing because people are so checked out. Like what do you do to, because right now fans are just pissed off, and I don't blame them.
No, they had their two big reasons to be mad, which was proudly announcing you're cutting payroll by 35 million, and then no TV, and then the trading deadline. But now the collapse is the is what everybody's going to remember. Now I got a couple of complaints though on what I saw on Twitter. Once again, the subject comes up that someone thinks he's a genius, suggests this is Rocco telling the front. Rocco's only doing this to tell the front office he doesn't he doesn't. This is what you gave me. Well, it is what it gave me, but it's not a message to the front office. Do you think he really wants to piss away that game? I don't think so. And then the other one is a year after their best team in 20 years, they they have done this. It was not their best team in 20 years, you jackasses. They won 101 games in 2019. This team isn't close to what those teams had in the 2010s when they had Johan and Torrey Hunter and that crew. They didn't win any postseason games because guess what? They didn't have a 3-game home wild card series to play. They didn't have 6 playoff teams. They had one wild card game, and they had a different, and then they had a different system. That team last year, it was nice to see them end the streak of incredible streak of postseason losses, but to have anybody say that was their best team in 20 years, and then the guy responded and said, "Well, I was referring to the playoffs." Well, then refer to the playoffs, you jackass, instead of
Yeah,
saying it was their best season
I
in
agree
20
with
years.
everything you just said, but
Yeah.
I would add just the hook. It's probably the best the fans have felt at the end
Yes.
of a season because of winning the 2 out of the 3-game wild card series.
Yes, that's true. But I mean, you guys were in the ballpark in 2019 when they played the Yankees in a 15-12 game or whatever the hell it was, and the place was going nuts. And that's
Yeah.
the way it was all summer. It's not like this. They say, "Well, we'll go watch them again because they're not on
Yeah.
TV," but we're not that excited. So
Mhm.
it's
Well, if they don't make the playoffs, because I mean there is still a chance that they sneak in and then they win another 3-game series because Bailey Ober goes 8 innings or whatever. But if they don't do that, it is going to be, or even if they do, a really fascinating
you.
winter because they don't know
Did
where their
you?
TV money's coming from.
No. Did you notice where the Tigers finished the season? At home
White
against the
Sox.
Whiteys.
mighty Whiteys. I don't like the chances of the Whiteys going in there and taking 2 out of 3 and saving you boys. Last night was it, and you wet the bed. So that's it. They lose today. Who's pitching for the bad guy? Who's pitching for the bad guys today? Cleveland. Do we know?
I don't even know who it is.
I
It's
don't
just
know, but
some guy that will somehow
S
shove 5 innings. Yep.
SWR will go 3 1/3 again because he's the poor guy's worn out. He was your savior for about 2.5, 3 months, but now
Yeah.
he's now that fastball's down there to about where he looks like I don't know who he looks like.
Well, to your point about the Tigers playing the White Sox, it's like you're in a 200-meter sprint race,
Yes.
and you know that in the final 40 meters, your opponent
Yeah.
is gonna sprint harder than you are at the end. So
Ooh, he's going to turn into Michael Johnson at the end, and here's some guy from Kenya trying to catch him. You got the goodbye, Michael. It's
Joey
I don't know.
Cantillo.
I don't even feel
oh,
bad
Joey
about it.
Cantillo.
Joey
yeah.
Cantillo going for the Guards on the bump today, Patrick.
Okay, never heard of him, but that's that
But that's
doesn't
6
mean-
2/3 of 3-hit ball right
Two
there
and
on that
two
guy.
and three,
Never-
4.99 ERA.
I
Okay.
never heard of the guy who hit the bomb off Jacks the other day too. So that's Manzero or
Came from
whatever.
Tampa Bay in
Nice
the Savali trade.
mustache.
Yeah, he's actually a second-round pick. He was
Yeah.
using the Savali trade. Yeah, he actually could be something.
Well, anyway, I'd say it was
Good fun.
fun while it lasted, but it wasn't that much fun while it lasted.
It wasn't really,
I
no.
mean, they were better than I dreamed they could be for 3 months, but they're no good. They're no good. It's,
Can we at
look,
least
by
get
the way, here's another thing they don't do. When Correa's not playing, they don't catch ground balls. That's an important thing in baseball. When somebody hits you a ground ball, throw it to first and get them out. That's a very important thing. And when it's a little chopper, don't play it like it's a hand grenade, for God's sakes. Come in and pick it up and throw the guy out. They got nothing but hacks. And, playing the infield except for Correa. Even Royce Lewis is a hack. And, Julian, of course, is a hack. And Brooks Lee, they had needed him to make a play the other day, and he didn't make it. So, on a little chopper.
Can we get the 40-year column, though, on a second epic collapse in Cleveland?
Yeah, that's
Very similar, too. Teams that weren't that good. That team wasn't that great.
no kidding.
So it wasn't different.
That team had even fewer wins than this one, though. What they were trying to win it with 84. Did they end up winning?
That's what I'm
Something like
saying. But you had
Yeah.
Gaetti and Herbeck, and you had the principals of the team that became the World Series champion.
Plus, if we would have been in Cleveland if this would have been last night, Gardner would have been in the clubhouse drinking a beer, smoking a cigarette, and bad mouthing everybody. It would have been fantastic.
That's why I want the column.
No
This sucks.
sugarcoating.
Yeah.
What would have Slick Gardner said? That would have been the that might be a column.
He
That's
would
your
have
column.
said he would have said something derogatory about Henriquez that you probably wouldn't have printed to save his
Yes,
job.
that's true. But then he would have said something derogatory. He would have also said something derogatory about who was the GM then? Howard Fox then, or no, Calvin still. Yeah, no, that was 84 was when the sale had been made, right?
No, the next
No.
year, right?
No, 84.
Oh, no,
was
you're right.
the
You're right.
sale.
Yep.
Yeah, and
Pollard just took over. You're right.
they turned over the team to Poland at that big ceremony in September at home, and then they went to Cleveland, and it was it's fantastic about that though. There were 600 people at the ball game. There was like the guy out in center field beating the drum. He and his buddy were the only two guys out there. There weren't 600 people in a ballpark holding 80,000. It was a fantastic scene. It was amazing. And you know what else I remember about that is you're trying to write the wake on this, and then you got the only light on in the press box near the lake, the only lights after the game, and the bugs come in from Lake Erie, and you're hacking it, and you're typing away, and you want to write a great column about a great collapse because everybody relates Thursday to Friday. Thursday's RD and Jamie Quirk. Friday is 10-0. When they lose. Yeah. So it was epic. But yeah, it should be remembered. I got something else going on, but maybe I have to do a little online special on that one or something. Yeah. So
well, go get them today, boys. One last thing. I know you got to get going here, but the highlight of last night to end this on a positive baseball note. I'm going to become a Brewers fan for the postseason. I think they waited to celebrate their division championship until 90-year-old Bob Uecker could make his way from the broadcast booth down to the clubhouse last night.
Wow. Fantastic.
They had arm around Bob Uecker as they popped the champagne, and then Bob Uecker yells, "I think I just pissed myself."
Yep. I peed my pants.
Which he might have said on the Tonight Show if he still had a chance. He's a great guy. I am pleased to call him a semi friend of mine. I've known him for years because Mike Gonring was one of my best buddies as a ball writer, and he and Uke were the fantastic. And I'll repeat my Uke story. In about '78, the Twins were down at Sun City. And I told this was one of my failed efforts to cut down on my drinking. And I was up talking to Uke behind up in the press box there. He was doing the game. And I told him during the break, I said, "Yeah, I'm trying to quit drinking, Uke." And he said, "Geez, okay." And he goes out of the air and says, "We've had a lot of surprises in spring training this year, but Patrick Reusse from the St. Paul Papers up here with us. And he just told me he's quitting drinking. Now that is a surprise." So that was a highlight of my life, and that was a failed experiment, by the way. It took a few more years to do that, but that was a fun moment to say the least.
Amazing.
All right,
Pat.
Yeah,
we'll catch up with you again tomorrow, sir.
Boo.
Boo.
Oh.
Okay, goodbye.
Reusse Unchained, presented by Josh Arnold.